Hey, how you guys doing? I am live. About to do some work. Hey, how you guys doing? Live. I'm just gonna wait a little bit till a couple more people get on board, and then I'm gonna get started. So far, um, so I put a ping out to see um, who wants, what should I work on tonight, and a lot of people wanted to see me do shading. So I think I'm gonna do shading tonight, and we'll see how that goes tonight. So I'm going to do a tutorial on shading. This will I'll start with the basics of shading, where we have one light source, um, and how do you shade generic objects, and how does that connect to shading human beings or cars or a tree trunk or whatever. And then eventually I'll probably I'll well, we'll just kind of wing it. We'll just kind of keep going until something comes up. So I'll let you guys ask me some questions, and then um, we'll kind of go off of that. So see how many people are coming on board. A couple more. How you guys doing? Appreciate you guys coming on. Yes, yes, Casual Hero. That is true. So some of the things that we went over, I'm gonna go over with everyone. So I'm gonna bring some of this in here just to kind of so we can knock out like just like a general study on shading, the concept, the thinking behind it, the ideas behind um, banding and cross hatching, and then from that point, you guys can take this and run with it and adapt it to your style, and then later on go practice. And when you practice, um, hit me up on Patreon, and then we can go one on one, and I can refine your techniques. And so this is more of a. Was that?
Sorry, there's one more spot left.
There's only one more spot left for this month. So after that, I'm cutting out all the spots. Okay, so I'm going to start off. We're going to create a new file. Yeah, I'll keep it. Let's go standard. I'll just go 12 to 12. 300 DPI is pretty good. Great. Okay. See, this is a tutorial. I'm done. Everything's over with. Okay, everything's over. All right. So basic shading. Um, how many? Okay. So here we go. I'm just gonna start talking, and then eventually I'll check back on the feed, and then I'll try to answer some questions. And I have my lovely assistant Hannah, who's here with me tonight, so she will be uh, pinging me about some of the questions that you guys are asking.
Hey guys.
So we everyone understands your primitives, okay? So I'm going to draw these in 3 dimension, just so we can get a sense of this, what I'm talking about. Oh, that's a horrible cylinder. Oh gosh, it feels like I'm drawing with a crayon for some reason. Okay. And last, we'll do a sphere. Wow, that's a horrible circle. Just kind of, that's close enough. Okay, so this is how I'm gonna treat everyone almost like this is the basics. This is like everyone has never seen lighting before, so I'll treat it like that for like the first minute or two, and then after that, I'll bump it up into a little bit more like a medium to advanced type of a class. Um, one second. So this entire session will only last an hour and a half. And here we go. So we understand our basic objects. So these are basic primitives. And let's say we have a light source. The light source would be like, let's say it's a lamp or a direction light. Okay, light is projecting in this direction. So this is what we're going to project this. This is the same light we're going to project for all of them. So I'll just kind of create something like this so we can see what sense it is. So understanding this, we know that obviously whatever is closest to the light is going to be bright, and whatever is furthest from the light, oh, God, that looks like a Klansman. Whatever is closest to the light is going to be bright. Whatever is over here is going to be dark. Okay? So I want you guys to think of, just keep this in mind. We obviously know it's going to be dark over here, and it's going to be bright over here, and it's going to cast a shadow. So it's going to be pretty dark over here, a little bit darker over here, something like this, a little bit brighter, I should say. And this is the basic understanding of what this light source, of how things would be shaded, okay? And everything here would cast a shadow here on the side. So you'd have a ground shadow, you'd have a shadow over here on the side, okay? Now, what I want you to do from this point is this. I'm going to use this as a base for cross hatching, and just for how do you use this when you're applying it to a muscle structure, or someone's arm, or someone's chest, or someone's head, or their legs that has multiple shapes within it. So for cross hatching, I'm going to blue line this out right now. Okay, so for each one of these objects, how you would cross hatch this, you want to think of your cross hatch lines as their blinds. Okay, so if you have a light over here and you have blinds, the blinds are going to allow the light to come in. Okay, now if you start to close off the blinds like this, the light is going to naturally bounce off. Okay, and the more you close off those lines, let's say you close off the lines more like this, the more of a reflection, the more of a deflection of the light that's going to happen. Meaning it's going to be less light in that area. So that's the thinking behind it. This is really super basic. It's kind of boring right now, but it's very much the thinking of this. This is how I want people to think about cross hatching. I see a lot of people do cross hatching, and it's pretty horrible, or it's not correct with the type of shape that you're applying the cross hatching to. Is, let's say you're cross hatching a background with some rocks, or someone's hair, or someone's t-shirt, or the muscles, or a car tire, different things like that. You just want to, this is, once you learn this and you understand this, this will keep you apply this to everything. It'll keep everything looking universal. It reduces all your mistakes that you're going to make in the future. So this is the core, this is the basics of the thinking. So going back to this top part right here, okay? So keeping this area in mind, okay? the way how the blinds are crossed over. So if you open the blinds, there's going to be a lot of light coming in. So the more you close off the blinds, the less light that's going to come through. So if you want to make it even darker, close off the blinds even more. So that's the concept behind it. So just that's it. So just think of it like this. Think of the lines going this way. It's pointing towards the light. All the lines are pointing towards the light now. Okay? But you want to get darker, close off the blinds. You want to get darker again, close off the blinds again. That's what you want to think about as you're doing this. Now, to undo that, well, I'm going to keep this up so you can see this. So if you have the lines, this is something I want you to keep an eye out for as you're cross-hatching. This is key. It's this. This diamond shape right here. You're looking for this pattern right here. You capture this pattern, you're on the way to being a great cross-hatcher right here. That diamond shape pattern. So just keep that in mind as you're moving forward. Okay? So now, how do we apply this to these objects? Okay? This is how you apply this to these objects. Okay? So let's say you're keeping this in mind as you're going to cross-hatch this. So you're thinking the lines, you want to follow the contours of the object. So imagine this coming across like this. Follow the contours of the object. Okay? And then next thing you want to do is start to cross the blinds like this. Now you're shading that object. Now the same thing with this. Let's say you have lines going towards the lights, and then on the back side you want to create something just to kind of darken it up a little bit. Something like that. You just go ahead and keep this solid bright up here. So follow the contours of the object. I'm going really fast. It's kind of sloppy, but it's not about finesse at this point. It's about getting the idea to you. So I need you to get the concept in your head. Okay. So it's up to you if you decide to cross hatch going in this direction or going in this direction. It doesn't really matter. You can kind of run with it, whatever direction you want to go with this. Okay. Now, obviously, if you're going to render the lines back here, you can render it with lines going in this direction, or you can just make it completely solid black. It's up to you as an artist. Now, we're rendering something round. You want to keep lines going in this direction. That's one way of doing it right here. You can smooth. You can actually fade, like taper it off, like have a little bit here, and fade it off. Fade it as you go. So you have a little bit here, and then it's a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, and you keep going as you go. So you just kind of taper it a little bit. So that's the idea behind this. So you turn it off. So that's the idea. That's the concept behind it, as what you're thinking. So applying this to muscle, to different, like a round muscle, you would apply the same concept to that round muscle. If you're applying this to like a pipe, you would apply the same thing to that pipe. You're applying this to like so kind of hard edge object. You would apply to this. You know, the exact same thing you would apply to this round. So just keep that in mind as you guys are moving forward. And this is the basic. This is beyond basic. This is sort of like the medium way of attacking. And what's going on with the screen? Okay, looks like there was a hiccup in the screen or something. Okay, Let me know if you guys can still see. If there's any hiccups or anything, just go ahead and just let me know, and I'll try to see if there's an issue on my side or anything. Um, okay. So, knowing this, how do we apply this to um, like a muscle structure? Okay. Now, I want you to think of this. I want you to keep this in mind. I'm going to group this so we have everything in one group. So this is what you want to think of as you're drawing muscle. Now I want you to think of your muscle structure as just a bunch of round objects. So let's say you have rough this up. You know? So this is really rough. Try and clean it up a little bit. So this is really quick. Someone's, you know, your fingers are down here. I won't even go into detail with that, but let's just say that's someone's arms. Okay, someone's neck, the head, whatever, blah blah blah. So anyway, I want you to start thinking of the muscle structure because your muscles are built out of just round. They're not sharp edge objects. They are round, smooth objects or smooth shapes that's combined together. So all the muscle fibers, they're round and they combine together. So what you are actually coloring, what you're actually shading. I'm going to put this back here. So I want you to think of the muscles. They're a bunch of round objects like this. Okay, so what you're actually doing now. Now I showed you guys how to render a round object. Okay, and so you have a round object, and I showed you follow the light. Let's say the light is coming from. I'm going to render this one here. The light coming from up top, like this. So the light's coming from the top and shooting the light in this direction. Okay. So what you want to do is follow the contours of the muscle and then close it off. Actually, I'll close it off. Yeah, that's close enough. Something like that, maybe. Yeah, like that. Actually, no, I'll go in this direction. Yeah, that's better. Much better. So I'm going to apply this to, imagine if you had a bunch of these objects combined together like this. So all I'm doing is applying this exact same thing to all of this. So now I'm going to do some cross hatching with finesse. So now instead of I'm just applying it to just one object, I'm applying it to a mass of objects. So I'm going to try to make it all blend together with this. So now once I smooth everything out, it's going to have um, obviously these are the ones that's furthest away from the light, so I'm going to try to darken them a little bit. These are the ones, these are objects, these objects up here at the top, they're closest to the light, so I'm going to render them the least, so they won't appear as dark as the ones that's furthest away from the light. So the ones that's furthest away, they get two sets of lines. The ones that's closest only get one. So I'll keep it like that. So from here, you can close it off with some, little details you can add in here. Um, if you want to make it solid black back here, you can do that. But this is the concept behind it. So you just literally like imagine if you were like rendering uh, uh, like a bag full of balls or something, or you know a backpack full of round objects, or a sock full of oranges, or something like that. So you just want to keep that in mind. Okay. So now, how would I render this? How do I apply this into these muscles? So we have these round shapes. So now I'm keeping this light up here in mind. Okay. So now all I'm going to do is render. The first set of lines I'm going to throw is going to go towards the light. You can even cross objects like this. Just go ahead and cross everything across. Just throw everything around. Now, everything else, it's a combination of finesse, where you apply um, this rendering technique with the tiny details to bring the muscle structure out, meaning the tiny details on the inside, like all the little nicks and little scratches, or let's say you have a character with gloves or something, you want to use all that's something you want to keep in mind as you're doing. Let's say he has gloves. Or he has like an armband going across like this, and you know, maybe it's tied or something. Whatever. He's bleeding. He has a giant cut on his arm. Okay, let's say. So now you have this first set of lines. You can always leave just the first set of lines, and you don't have to do the second one, because the less lines you put, the cleaner your piece looks. So if you absolutely don't have to put those second batch of lines, don't put it. You can leave it just like this, just with simple lines, and that's it. But always render towards the light. That will save you anything. If I'm rendering against the light, um, it's okay, but you would have to. There's a couple ways of doing it. The only time you would render away from, or uh, counter to the light, like say, if the light's coming in this direction, but you start rendering in this direction, it can work, but it would have to follow a specific flow of the muscle. Now I'm going to do it on this, on his chest right here. You could render towards the light, you could, okay? But this is another way I'm going to show you where you're actually rendering counter to the light, but you're going in this direction. But what I'm doing is I'm not fighting the muscle structure. I'm actually going with the muscles. The muscle has the chest muscle has this specific shape to it, So I'm going with it. I'm not fighting the muscle structure. But I can also close it off. So what I would close it off with is something like this. At the very top, I would just throw some lines here that's going in that direction. Or you can throw it like somewhere here, over here in this corner. Or let's say you wanted to, let's say you put it over here, but you can carry it through, but I would fade it. I would not, um, I wouldn't carry it all the way across like this. Then it starts to look weird. So just, this is one of the key things about um, drawing comics is leaving a small gap so that your reader, the person who's looking at your comics, looking at your art, let their mind and their brain fill in that gap. So, um, like if I'm drawing an eyeball over here. I'm going to draw the whole eye like this, but at the very bottom, I'm just going to leave a tiny opening at the bottom. I won't fill in the entire thing. I'll just leave it open at the bottom like this. I won't fill it. So just leave this tiny little gap down here at the bottom. Let the person's mind, their mind's eye, fill in that gap for them. If you close it all the way, it starts to look too forced, and it's almost like um, it at some point when it actually go to uh, rendering or final print, it can get muddy in certain areas. So just leave it a little bit small breathing room at the bottom of the eye. Let it breathe. The same thing with it, which is the same thing with inking, but I'll show you guys that on another screen. Um, so this is the concept behind what I want you guys to think as you're rendering. Okay. So you keep this in mind as you're moving forward. All right. Now, let me see. What else can I? Questions I can answer for you guys. You want to answer some questions, Hannah?
Do I want to answer some questions?
Yeah, or you want to read some questions and then see where we can go. I'm going to start drawing. I actually scanned in a head, and I was going to show you guys something too. Something. This is a quick head I literally just sketched.
But I don't think there's very many questions.
There's not many questions.
Yeah. Everybody's busy learning.
Everyone's busy just staring at this stuff.
Yeah, they're soaking it in.
Okay. I'll show you guys. I just finished a Batman piece. I'll show you guys this Wolverine piece right now. Let's see if I can open this up for you guys. This is one of my rough sketches that I just knocked out. And it wasn't a 5-minute sketch. This one probably took about 10 minutes or so. You can load this one up. Nope. It won't open. Okay, 1 second. All right, here we go. So this is a piece that I just finished not too long ago. Let's look at it. Okay, so I'm gonna re-render this and apply some of those same techniques that I just showed you guys on the head, and we're gonna go over this right now. All right.
Before you do,
What's that?
Natural Hero asks, so what does blocking in and shading do?
Okay, what blocking in for the shading does, when you block in the absolute blacks versus the absolute whites, what it does is like you quickly identify where where all your shadows are going to land. You quickly identify as an overall piece. It helps with building the overall piece, so you can stand back, look at the entire thing, and say, okay, great. This character is nice and he's nice, well lit. I see where the massive shadows are going to land, and it helps you with composition. Not composition with uh, just building your spacing, your blacks and whites. It helps you with your layouts. So you won't have too much blacks, you won't have too much whites. It helps you balance things out with the entire piece, and also with the characters. So that's what's really good about blocking it out with the shadows first before you actually go in and start doing all the renders. Um, okay, so
Well, sorry. Well, script says, can you drop in some solid blacks on the muscle?
from the okay, I'll show it to you. I'll go back and I'll show that to you guys in a minute. Um, so this is Wolverine piece, right? Let's say we have this piece here. I'm going to just quickly redraw his head. Wolverine.
You ever find that over rendering cross hatching stiffens the finished piece?
It doesn't stiffen it. It does get muddy, and you don't want to get muddy. That's the last thing you want to do. So if you try to if you see yourself over rendering, stop. Take an eraser, erase it, clean it up. Try again. Try to render. Try to render with. Just think of like whatever you would normally do for rendering. Dial it back about a third. Just keep that in mind as you move forward. It's always best to go on the safer side so you won't get too muddy, too dirty, too much, too busy. But eventually you will see as you're doing. It's kind of like cutting the grass a little bit. Like not necessarily cutting. What's an analogy I can give you guys? It's just basically it's kind of like just laying down the lines slowly, like one layer at a time, one layer at a time. You can step back, look at the entire piece, because as you're drawing something up here, 20 minutes will go by and now you're drawing over here. Another 20 minutes will go by and now you're drawing over here. And now, 60 minutes has gone by. So now you can look back and see this entire piece, something you weren't thinking of over here. Now, after you've drawn something, it kind of might refresh your brain a little bit over here. So don't worry about trying to render everything out right now. Just worry about drawing the contours, doing your first batch of renders, and then later on you can go back and say, oh, okay, the rendering it might be too even going across. You might want to bring in some blacks more on the top to balance things out a little bit. So or to pop things out, because the contrast you absolutely need to work on. People need to develop their contrast in their pieces. So you have to make the solid blacks, the grays, and the whites need to live together as one happy family, or else if they're competing and they're fighting, it's going to look like a giant mess. So you don't want to do that. Okay, so let's say this is Wolverine piece right here. Okay, so now using those same objects, I'm going to try to render. I'm trying to see if I could pull out some object that like some basic round shapes on the back part, on the lower part. So obviously we know this is one round shape here. We know the muscles have a round shape like this. There's another round shape like here. There's another one here. And another one here. There's another one here. There's like a round shape here. There's a round shape here. The nose has a round shape itself. The eyes, obviously. Head has another round shape. Throat can have like a shape like this. So we're keeping this in mind. I'm going to lower the opacity just enough so we won't have to see too much of this. So keeping that in mind, and now you're rendering. So now we know the light source is at the top, it's going down. So I'm going to start to render. You can render going up like this towards the lights. That works. But I'm going to work with going. I'm going to render towards with working with the face, the flow of the muscles on the face. So if the muscles are flowing in this direction, I'm going to try to go in that direction, keeping in mind that the light is at the very top. So that's why I'm rendering. A lot of my renders will go across this way, but I'm fading it because I know it's going to be brighter at the top and it's darker at the bottom. Okay, so I'm fading that. Now I know the muscles are following the muscle structure. You can go through and just render can go through and render like this. That's a good way of doing that. Know that. This mouse over here. So this is just one set of renders that you can do. This is just like the first batch, what you can throw down. There's obviously more I'm going to throw down because he's kind of a gritty character and I want to grit him up. I don't want to render him too clean. If he comes across too clean and it doesn't represent who he is. One this way. Towards the lights. I won't. This is a different type of rendering. I'm going to stick with the solid white areas or the brighter areas for now. So remember that. Now I'm going to counter this with some extra lines to help with the flow of the face, but still keeping in mind there's a light source at the very top. That's why there are lines going in this direction. A lot of these lines don't need to as long as the lines don't fight each other, you're going in the right direction. You want to keep everything looking kind of smooth. Just don't fight each other. Don't compete. Bamford, you speak French? I don't know. I actually, both of my parents speak French. I grew up hearing it my entire life, and I don't know anything in French. I'm one of those kids, or one of those guys. I'm not a kid anymore, but I was one of those kids that just didn't catch on.
He said when I have access to people
There you go.
I took French in high school, and all I can say is, obviously, like bonjour, and je voudrais salade. I was like a
what?
salad.
You're like a salad?
That's all I can order when we go to France.
Go to France. I want a salad.
Yep, salad for days.
That's all you. I guess that's all you're gonna eat.
Your croissant.
And some French fries. We'll just say that. I guess they would look at you like, really, French fries, really. Yeah, my French is my both my parents. That's their native language. They speak French, and I just for some reason I just never caught on to it. As you guys see, I'm beefing it up. So as I'm going, I'm literally just I'm adding to it as I'm going, but I'm following the contour lines. Obviously, I'm going to make it all black over here. Let's say I had, let's say I was making this black over here. So this can help. Well, who was it to ask? Was it Wildstorm that asked the question about rendering from black? Chris. Okay. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to create a bunch of black areas that I know for a fact that I want the solid black to land on. And I would go through and reinforce it with some cool shapes like this. Then once I have that solid black, then I can go in, and I know this is going to be solid black over here. So now I can go in, and you can do some cross hatching like this. Just slightly pull some stuff. I would not even try to over it. If you try to over it, it's going to get muddy, and you're going to lose a lot of the cool lines that you actually had in there. Keep it simple. Keep it simple. Yep, that's it. Keep it simple. You could throw lines like this too to kind of create a more happy gray area. It's obvious he has a giant shadow here at the bottom. So make that solid black. I have family in France. I have friends in France. Cousins, all kinds of stuff. So one day I'll go out there and go hang out with them.
Casual here says people in France kept calling me cowboy when I visited. I'm not country looking.
Wow.
You had a cowboy?
Did you have a cowboy hat on?
Your sister speaks fluent French.
A lot of people in my family speaks fluent French, except me. I'm the dunce of the family. I'm the one that's like, I'm okay.
Said you got drawing as
yeah, I focused on drawing when everyone was focused on speaking French. That's what it was.
Stanford says liking this rendition, having flashbacks of a late run on Sylvester's Wolverine sit when he was fighting sheep.
Oh yeah.
Mark Sylvester is a very tall man.
Yeah, he is. We ran into him at the Webtoons party when we were at San Diego. He's a cool. I mean, I've known Mark for years. I've worked with him, but I was surprised to see him at the Webtoons party. It's pretty cool. So yeah, here we go. Okay. So now you guys get a sense of gonna turn off the layers, the layer in the background in a minute for you guys to see this. Move this line over here. So now you guys kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about with that render. So keep everything, beef this up a little bit. Darken up his lips right here. You can add some blood. He's, you know, someone just spit in his face or something, so he has a little blood, and he just sliced open this creature, and the creature spit up this green goo on his face. Yeah. So he's like, yeah, something like this. I love my green goo. You guys remember that old TV show back in the day? It was like in the 80s when they had all, it was slime. There was slime everywhere, green slime. Oh man, that was like the show. Everyone used to love watching it. My brother and I used to watch it. One of those, it was one of those teenage shows.
Snapper says, or you just had some baby back ribs.
Oh, yeah, exactly. He does. Yeah, he couldn't help it. I gotta have my baby back ribs.
They can't do that.
Okay, so keep that in mind. Now, I just took that and I just rendered over it. So now you guys can see what I'm talking about. Okay. So to reiterate, to go back on drawing from a solid, like a solid black area. Let's say I'm doing this one again. This one, and you have objects for your character. And let's say he is, he has a black suit, like, you know, you name it. Just name any superhero that has a solid black suit. Anyone. Okay. Double Dare. Was it Double Dare? I think it was Double Dare. Well, yeah, it was that kid, that guy from um, Austin Powers. That kid that was in, played the kid in Austin Powers. Was it him or was it someone else? I think it was him when he was younger. Oh man.
Oh, Fred Savage or whatever.
Was it? No, it wasn't Fred Savage. Fred Savage is someone else. It was a show called Double Dare, and Double Dare was pretty cool. We used to.
What was this?
This was a long time ago. This was, I think it was either like late 80s or early 90s. No, it must have been late 80s because I was in college in the late 90s. So it was definitely wasn't in college. It was late 80s. It was late 80s. Double Dare. So I'm creating the solid black areas, okay? So from here, now the shading that I just did, that's just to quickly get a sense of where the blacks are going to go. Now I'm going to refine it. So I'm going to come back in and just kind of add to it. If you have to erase, go ahead and erase. If you have to add like an extra lip to something, you know, one of the cool things about it is about doing, you know, like creating this rough feel is that it gives you these random strokes and that you can build on. So I just create this random stroke in this area, right? So now I'm gonna feed off of that. So I'm seeing all these loose areas. So I'm gonna go through and just like, okay, let me build this up. Maybe I can, you know, create a shape like this. Or maybe want to give it an edge like that, or maybe I don't want to give it an edge like that. Maybe I just want to bring it straight up like this. It's up to you as the artist. So so you just have to go through. So I have a little bit of news for you guys. Um, I think news is always good, right? Everyone likes news. Think so?
No.
Come on, everyone likes news, right? Please say you like news. I like news. I like news. Okay, so check this out. Next week, I'm gonna have a special guest on with me, um, and you guys will. I think you guys will have fun. We're gonna sit here. We're gonna draw. We're gonna do more art demonstrations. We're trying to nail it down for Monday, but things are still kind of up in the air. But we'll see because it's kind of we both have crazy schedules, so we have to see how things are. But there is a special guest coming in, and I'll probably announce it probably. Um,
On Instagram.
I'll announce it on Instagram. Maybe Sunday night. I'll probably announce it. So I'll let you guys know, and you guys will have fun. We'll have fun.
Um, Douglas Emerson says, been really enjoying your Instagram posts lately. The Batman commission is so
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it. I did a couple of them. A couple of Batman commissions. Which one? Which one are you talking?
Harley.
Is it a Batman and Harley?
It will.
Is it Wills? We'll see. We will see.
Is this T in Ios? I thought he said nudes like a life model.
Nudes? No. I'm gonna have some nudes. No. This is not that type of class. Okay, so as you can see, I'm following the lines. I'm following the contours of the muscles. Okay. Do that. Okay. Feels a lot better. Close that off. Yep. Another thing you could do too is like say you have this open area right here. You can just go ahead and just close it up. Just throw some lines straight across. It'll help to you know, just to create that gray area and it helps to create like a nice balance. So now you don't have a whole bunch of hot spots, a bunch of white hot spots just all over the place. So you have some white hot spots, you have some absolute black, and then you have some gray spots. So it kind of helps to help with pushing and pulling a lot of this stuff. Um, so keep that in mind as you guys go forward.
Someone here asked, met a lady who said her cousin worked at Wildstorm. His name was Johnny Wrench. Do you know him?
Johnny Wrench. Well, this must have been after I left. There was a period I wasn't at Wallstrom. I had actually left for a while. Horrible.
But T and I always said it's not that there's anything wrong with drawing from life or drawing from those people,
But what?
but stop.
Oh.
Brian's gonna be your model, guys.
Ah, if you wish. I think some people wish a little bit too hard. But never.
Your sexy dad bod.
Yep. My dad bod is never going to be on Twitch. I think the entire Twitch community will have an uproar. This is horrible.
Your arms were.
I don't like it. That's different. That's an arm. Keep it simple. You know, I was a swimmer. Yeah, I know that's my Al Bundy moment. So that's what I call it. And when I was swimming, I used to swim. So I used to swim in those speedos. So
Ooh, you guys missed out.
I don't think they want to hear about my swimming days. So let's just keep it strictly on art. Okay.
That part says I'd buy that for $1.
Yeah. Well, I don't have $1 for you, so I'm
I
sorry.
might be in trouble if Brian is a model. I don't know how to draw guns.
Come on now. All right. So let's see. You guys see, I'm trying to clean this up a little bit, trying to create nice little shapes. But you see, I started with you know, started with just a bunch of scribble lines, and now I'm refining it as I'm going. So that's this is the idea behind it. Say it's like this character with some patterns in the suits. It goes like this, maybe. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
Tia always says, I forgot how fun it is to watch people draw.
Yes, it is fun, and I'm having fun just demonstrating a lot of this to you guys. This stuff is like super easy for me. I hope you guys are at least going back and watching the videos so you guys can, get a sense of this. I do need to start putting these on YouTube. Assistant, it's my assistant, or supposed to be taking care of that. But let's see. So that's the idea behind it. How I lay down the blacks, and I just kind of pull it out of it. So the idea again is this. Let's say you have an object, create your shadows. Once you have your shadows, pull out of it. Do a small render like that. That's it. That's a simple way of doing this. You don't have to do a second layer of lines. You can, but you don't have to. Bye, Chris. See you later.
I have been posting those videos. Maybe not all of them, but some of them.
Yes, this is very much like sculpting, Bamfor. It is. It's sculpting. Imagine if you had clay and you have it, and you're kind of just forming until you get the muscles. It's very much like that. But instead, it's a slightly different approach. Not slightly. It's a major different approach because you're working from a 3D object already, and now on paper you're actually working on it from a 2D object and you're trying to mimic a 3D shape. So it's definitely a different thinking behind it. I mean, it's a different. So it's the same thinking, but it's a different technique, a different technique of approach, kind of to it. So, okay, so let's see. We have about half an hour to go. So, what else do you guys want me to go over? Give me another topic. Or give me more about this. I think I kind of laid down a lot already. Yes, not the Wolverine. Any topics, anything. Going once, going twice. Questions.
Give them a moment because it's lag sometimes.
Oh, there's a lag. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, give it a
It's
nice
like
lag.
a 30-second
Head looking up. Oh, okay, that's a hard one, but we can do that.
lag.
Face features. I was gonna say face feathers for some reason. Why am I saying face feathers? Head looking up. Okay. Okay. All right. So let's attack that. Heads looking up. It's not easy, so I can see why people are having problems. Um, okay. I was literally watching this tutorial from this one guy. I can't remember his name. I'll try to see if I could uh, find his link and post it so you guys can see it. Um, the end hands for just hands. You want hands again? Okay. So the concept of the head. Let's say you have a head. This is not gonna be easy for a lot of people to get it. Okay. So the head. You try to tend to think of the head as um, it's like a cylinder. Okay. But if you wanted looking up, oh gosh, this is really rough. Now you're shooting in that direction. Go even more, shooting in this direction now. So it's something that you should be looking for. Okay? So I'm going to blue line this. Let's say you have a man's head. Now for a man, what I like to do is this. I like to create a nice little, I don't draw this every time, but I just like to create this shape right here for the nose. That's what I tend to, I don't usually draw all those lines, but I'm doing it so you guys can see. Um, just basic shapes. Okay. So you have this guy's head here. We'll lower this so you can see more of the head. Now, if we're going to start to look up on this one, we're trying to keep we're trying to keep the eyes in the same. I always typically start off with like the eyes. So, because once you nail down the eyes, everything else kind of flows out of it. So now you have the eyes here. Now you know the nose is going to be somewhere in this region from here. So once you establish this triangular area, everything else should technically just fall into place. So I'm going to draw it kind of boxy, just so we can get a sense of shapes. And then you can refine it later. So right now it's basically just to get the position of the different parts of the body. How I like to draw the bottom part of the neck, actually, let me show you. I'm not too concerned about the jaw yet. I'm more concerned about just creating this shape right here. Just create a shape. That's basically this bottom part of the neck right here. If you guys can see that. Look at my neck. Now, this is the reason why I'm doing it really rough like this and really fast. It's just basically just to lay down markers. You can always go back in and refine. You can clean stuff up. You can add things. You can erase this entire jawline. You can do all these things. This is just basically a marker. I'm laying down the template just so I know exactly where things are going to lie. Things are going to fall. Okay, so now I kind of get a sense of, okay, now this is where the head is going to fall. Now from here, now I can go in and you can modify, you can convert it, you can start pushing and pulling, you can start adding the beard, you can tweak the eyes, you can, it's like a lot of like little things like that. You can start going. So this is just a generic grid, generic shape. And from here, now you can go in and start adding, the nostrils. Now you can start messing with the tip of the nose. Now you can go in and, you can start doing it. So this is just the thinking of it. I'm just laying down the thinking part of it. Okay, and now if we're going to push this again, I'm going to push this even more. So keep in mind the shape of the top of the eyes, because the head does have a round shape, so you kind of want to shoot at things in that direction. Any questions? Any questions yet? And from here, I would go in. Now I have a base. Okay, now I kind of see where the head is. You know, the position of the head. I'm gonna draw the back of the head a little bit. Let me get there. So, all right. So yeah, so it's very much like blocking. There is, remember the little gray head that I had? It's downstairs. Or downstairs. This is a fan that gave me a tiny little head sculpture piece. You know where it is. It's right on the tall tower that's right next to my desk. Can you grab it? She's gonna get it. It's so I'm going to show it to you guys so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Um, One of the eyes are a little bit crooked. This eye over here, but oh well, who cares? That's not the point. The point is to just basically demonstrate how I break down the head as I'm drawing it, going up, head looking up, looking down, at those angles. So I always try to break it down with the massive shapes first. And
teacher is unprepared.
yes. So, all right, here we go. I'm going to show this to you guys up close so you guys can look up and see. It's right here. Is the light too bright? Well, actually, this is kind of cool because you get the right lighting. In fact, it might be a little bit too bright for some people. But you kind of get a sense of it. So this is a really cool sample of what the head is going to look like. So as it goes up, get in the middle. So as it goes up, Jesus, come on. What are you thinking of, or what are you seeing as the head is going up versus looking straight at you? So the way how it's broken down in these with these geometric shapes, try drawing with these shapes in mind. If you have to actually draw these shapes, do it. It'll help identifying where the cheeks will land, where the eyebrows are, position of the eyes, the size of the nose, the angle of the nose. It'll totally help. So just keep everything. This is something to keep in mind as you're moving forward. Always, if you ever run into a hurdle or a problem, go back to your fundamentals. So if the head is giving you issues and you're like, oh, I can't figure this out, keep that angle, but go back to the fundamentals. Don't try not to draw the head, but try drawing a bunch of shapes first. Now just draw the square shapes, draw the round shapes. Just try getting those shapes drawn first. Put them in the right space, and then once you have in the right space, then you start adding layers to it. Start adding to it. You can erase a little bit and then add. Erase and then add. That's the strategy you want to do to actually get it right. So always keep that as your fail safe. Is if I run into an issue, go back to your fundamentals. Now all the steps that I was showing you guys, I think I showed this in a different tutorial where I was drawing. As I was drawing, I was showing it in steps all the way to the final. And if you ever get to the point in any stage, you're like, okay, I'm not getting it, I'm not understanding, go back one step and just keep drawing in that stage until you actually get it. And then when you get it, move forward. It'll totally help with just seeing everything. It'll help with your structure. A lot of issues a lot of people have is the underlining structure. They just don't get it. They're losing it. It's like your arms just don't look like an arm anymore. Now it just looks like this weird shape that you're trying to draw. They're trying to mimic an arm. It doesn't. I've seen it a ton of times. Another way to fix a lot of problems is when in doubt, black it out. So if you're having a problem and you can't figure it out, just draw a massive black shadow across it, or try to be creative about the shadow. Don't just slap like a black label on it. You want to be kind of fancy about it. So just be real cool and try to make. You're an artist, so you have to be creative. And how would you apply solid blacks but still make it look cool enough? It's up to you as an artist to interpret that. So you really need to push that. Let me see. Let me see. Anything else? Anything else? Your mouth opens up while you're looking up. Uh, let me see. The canvas, I'm working at 300 DPI, but my pencil, it's pretty high. Usually, if at 300 DPI, I would probably work on a lid that's about this thin versus something this thin. But I went a little bit thicker because I wanted you guys to get a good sense of this as I'm drawing. I didn't want to, did not want to. I would normally go a lot thinner than this. Like, see how thick the lines are? I'm not concerned about it. Normally, I would probably go about this thick. Yeah, I'll probably get somewhere around in this range because it looks a little bit cleaner. Yeah, right here. This is the lines I would go. Yep. Versus this. See the difference? Yeah. So that size, where is it? Point 10 or 8, somewhere around there. To rewatch, yes, you can rewatch the stream. I think after I'm done with the stream, it will be saved for a couple of days on my channel. There should be like a history, an area where it keeps track of all the videos, and you should be able to see them. I think it's up there for a couple of days, or it should be a month, maybe somewhere like there. I'm not sure, but I know there's an option to share it on YouTube, so I'm going to start doing that. I'm going to start putting stuff up on my YouTube channel, which I just created a brand new YouTube channel just for this. So I just need to start loading it with videos, but it's coming.
The YouTube link is down below.
The YouTube link is down below, so if you guys get a chance.
There's 2 videos that have been uploaded already. So I think like what we'll do is for tutorials, such as what Ryan just did, we'll kind of clip it and highlight it, and then put it on YouTube, so you guys know if you guys need to go back and rewatch it for whatever reason, just to refresh your memory. We'll start doing that as well.
Yeah. Anything else? Questions? I'm here to answer all your questions. Yeah, so I am going to shoot some short tutorials. I have some footage. I just haven't put some stuff. I'm piecing everything together right now. So so I'm going to do a series of them. It's going to be a YouTube series where I'm just doing short, really short. These are probably like 2 or 3 minutes long, somewhere in that range, and they're just going to hit key points where people can be able to jump on it and just kind of watch. And I'll be launching this pretty soon. So yeah, so I only have about maybe 6 minutes left. So if you have to go, Casual Hero, I'll see you later. Thank you for coming. Shading to solidify the figures they're setting. All right, I'll share one more piece with you guys. I just finished this one piece right here. You guys ready for this one? You ready? You ready? Here we go. So this is a piece I just finished. It's a double page spread, and I just scanned it in. So it's an actual commission piece. So this is Guy in New York. His name is Nate Wam. He's a pretty cool guy, and this is his 3rd commission he got from me, and I just finished this. So yeah, now you guys can kind of get a sense of what I'm talking about, like with a lot of the renders. Like, yes, things are kind of muddy. But if you look at the line work I'm doing, let's see if I could demonstrate some of this. So I'm thinking, like, because I know this is a round shape here, but with this round shape, I'm rendering towards the lights. So that's where you guys see a lot of that. But this isn't just one round shape. There are multiple shapes in here. So that's why you're going to see another set of lines going this way. You're going to see another set of lines going this way. You're going to see some lines going this way. I'm trying to break it up a little so it won't look too stagnant. So I threw some lines going in that direction. So I threw some lines going this direction. I threw some lines going over here. You know, just a lot of like different lines, but basically it's like sculpting, like we said, but you're constantly sculpting until you get that shape that you're looking for. You're just throwing lines, going back and forth, going back and forth, and just keep attacking it until you get that lines. One thing you absolutely don't want to do is if you're a round shape, just throw one set of lines going this way and you're done with it. Don't want to do that. So don't corner yourself. Don't put yourself in that position. But if you look at a lot of the stuff, a lot of the lines I'm throwing, a lot of here. See, I didn't even throw any hatching here. I just threw some lines. I just threw some shapes, and that's it. And I left it. I could have went back in and thrown some cross hatching over here, but I didn't. But that was just my personal choice. Um, a lot of these lines here are just thrown to kind of help create shape. It's basically I want to create a shape in that area, but I don't want it to be so. I don't want it solid black, and I don't want it solid white either. But I want to enhance. I want to hint that there's a shape there. So I just created these lines on the side right here just to kind of help with identifying that shape. A lot of these lines are just to reinforce specific shapes um, and also I do it in a way that it looks cool, so it doesn't just look like just random lines or it's lines that don't make sense. As long as I keep in mind there's a light source up here and I'm rendering towards the lights, no matter where I'm going, I'm always rendering towards the light. If you look at a lot of the stuff I'm doing, I'm rendering towards the light. You know, rendering towards the light. Even though the shape, I'm trying the shape. This area. The reason I didn't go this way towards the light is because there's a round shape here. There's a round shape here, and I'm trying to render like this. See that? I'm trying to keep everything going. I'm trying to reinforce that shape. That's why I didn't render towards the light. That's one of the rules that you would actually apply where you can break it a little bit, where um, you don't have to constantly render towards the light. But rendering towards the light is the first thought you want to shoot for. Always want to render towards the light, unless I'm trying to reinforce a shape. You want to reinforce a shape? Go ahead and change it, but you're still keeping in mind the light is up here. That's the key. If you look at a lot of the stuff I'm doing, a lot of these lines here are just lines just to kind of create a shape, just to kind of hide stuff in the background or something. Hairs are pretty easy. That's something else we'll go over later. I'll do another tutorial just on hair some other time. But you can see as I'm doing, I'm trying to reinforce this round shape, and it's going towards the light. This is the hot spot. This is the dark area, all black here. So what I'm going to do, if this is the dark area, I'm going to pull from that black and render towards the light, like this. Pull from the black, render towards the light. That's what I'm thinking. Same thing here. There's a hot spot over here. There's a massive black area down here. So I'm going to pull from the black, render towards the light. Hot spot, black area, pull from the black, render towards the light. That's the thinking you want to have. Keep that in mind as you go forward. So I want you guys to go practice. Um, go practice this stuff. Um, and if you want to, go ahead and sign up for that last spot. There's only one, so you guys are going to have to try to get in there. Um, and every month it changes. So there's some people that might sign up this month and then they might not sign up next month. So that means there's a spot open. So you just have to keep checking every month just to see if a spot's open. But if your spot's open, go practice. Send your samples to me. You and I will get on Skype or whatever you prefer. I prefer Skype. And we'll just get on Skype, and I'll just go over your work, and I'll help you. I'll go over where all your weaknesses are, and we'll help with attacking those and strengthen your art skills. So this is one of them. I'll show you one last one because this is like my last minute. I have about one more minute to go. So I'm going to show you one more before I leave. And here we go. So this is the Batman and Harley that I just finished. So this one here is another good one. And if you look at it, there's a lot of the renders are rendering towards the light. Some of the bright areas I absolutely don't want to render, so I want to keep things bright. So so you want to keep it. But you know, you keep it rough. Just have fun with it, and you know, just don't change the rules too much. But just keep it in mind as you go forward. But you're the artist, so you have to create. You have to be creative enough. There's a lot of other artists who are there who can do so, but what I'm saying is there the thing about it with art is like there's the fundamentals that you have to stick to, but at some point when you get good enough, you can break from that and create your own direction. That's because you are an artist. There's no one way of completely uh, drawing something. Once you've understood your medium and what you're trying to get, now you're at a point where you can take off and just kind of do your own thing. So practice, 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 and don't ever think this is the way that you have to draw for the rest of your life. That's why I always tell people, don't just learn from me, learn from a lot of other people. There's tons of other artists online who charge specific amounts, or they do it for free. But they're out there. You can find them and learn from as many artists as you can, and then it'll help with your thinking when you actually go back into this. So um, yes, sir. Van Fart, you're the man. I love it. You suck at hair. Don't worry. There will be a hair class coming. I will work on. I'll show you guys how. I used to be really bad at hair, and then I remember going up to my art teacher in high school. I was like, "How do you draw hair?" He's like, "Oh, you just do it like this." And then I just remember, oh, I already knew how to draw hair. I just didn't think that I knew how to draw hair. I thought I wasn't sure if that's how to do it. And so from the moment he showed it to me, that's how I've been drawing hair ever since. It was from high school. I'm pretty old, so this is over 20 years ago, a long time ago. So anyway, yep. So anyway, time's up right now. Class should be over, and hope you guys enjoyed this session. And what I will do is I'll announce on Monday when the next who this secret is, the secret guest, and we'll work it out. You guys will have fun, and this guy's a pro. This guy has done a lot of cool stuff. He's worked on Batman before. Uh, he. I'll give you guys a hint. He worked with me at Wildstorm, um, and he's a pretty famous artist. So you guys will see on Monday on my commission Mondays. I'm going to do a commission or I don't know yet. We'll see if I'll work on a commission or not. But he will definitely be there, and I'll let you guys know. So okay, I'll keep you guys updated. Anyway, thanks for coming, and I'll see you guys on the next screen. See ya. Bye.